Hi everyone, it's Erin from the Provincial Farmhouse. In today's video, I'm going to be creating a French country angel Christmas ornament. For my project today, I'm going to be using this 10 centimeter wide Christmas ornament that I got from eBay. I will find the link and I'll pop that in the description below. And I'm just going to be gluing the two sides together using Gorilla Super Glue Gel. I'm then going to be using a wet wipe to wipe off any of the excess glue. When the glue was dry, I took out Paint Couture's 2-in-1 primer in grey. I'm going to be applying 2 coats to both sides of my ornament. I'm applying the primer with a makeup sponge. This means that I won't get any brush strokes at all. This is one of my favourite ways to apply primer to a smooth surface. I let the primer dry for several hours, then I took out IOD's new Angelic Tapers mould. I'm dusting the design on the right hand side with cornstarch first, and then I'm going to be using my Dust Air Dry clay, and I'm just going to press it into the top section of this mould. You saw me sort of hover the ornament over the top of the mould design before I started. That was just to get a bit of an idea of how much of this particular design I'm going to be able to fit on the ornament. So I'm just pushing out the excess clay with my fingers. I'm going to tidy up the edges a little bit. Then I'm going to press down firmly to make sure I've got a good impression. And then I'm going to be flexing the mold to help that clay release. And then I'm going to be flipping it over and pulling the mold back. I'm then going to be using IOD's Dainty Flourishes mould. I'm dusting some of the slimmer swirl designs there, and then I'm working my Dust Air Dry clay into those and sort of pushing out that excess clay. And I am going to be casting the other, I think it's actually like the mirror image of that design. I'm going to be casting that one as well. These can be quite delicate to get out, so I do try to use quite a bit of cornstarch. If you're having trouble getting these sort of intricate castings out, I have heard it suggested that you put your mold in the freezer for about 10 minutes before you try to take your clay out. Now I haven't glued the angel mold on just yet, but I have placed it on the ornament so that I can see where to glue these dainty flourish designs down. So I'm just adding some of my Sealers Quickset wood glue to one of those first, and then I'm going to position it on the ornament, just having the angel sitting there as a guide as to where I want it to be situated. And then I'm going to gently press those down, and then I'm going to repeat the same process for the other dainty flourishes casting. I did end up getting a little bit of a break here. You can just see there as I was pulling it along. That's fine. I can just glue that back into place. But I am going for a bit of a vintage look here, so it will still be in keeping with that look. I'm then going to add some of my wood glue to the back of the angel, and then I'm going to position that on the ornament. I'm then going to gently press that down. Don't press too hard because you could damage the imprint that you've made. And then I'm also going to have it sort of wrapped around the bottom, going into the gap left by the Dainty Flourishes mold. I'm then going to take this bow mold that I had in my stash. I believe you can get them on Amazon. And I'm just going to dust the larger of the two bows with some cornstarch, and then I'm going to work my clay into it. Now these molds unfortunately are not the same quality as IOD. They do not have a micro rim, so I do have to be gentle here and not sort of press that clay out too hard. I'm just going to tidy up the edges, removing any of that excess clay, and then I'm going to flex that mold. And then I'm going to sort of fold it back and just gently release that clay using my fingers to pull out any of the areas that aren't coming out. I'm then going to add some glue to the back of the bow and position it in place. I let my clay castings dry overnight, and the next day I took out Paint Couture's Queen's Court mineral paint. I started off just adding that beautiful blue tone to the areas where you could still see the grey primer, but as I was doing this I did realise that it was going to be a little bit tricky to get a neat line. I am going to be doing white on the angel, so I decided to just go ahead and paint over the top of all of the castings, including the angel, and then I would just go over the top later with the white. I just thought that was a bit of a tidier look. I ended up doing 2 coats of this Queen's Court mineral paint. When that was dry, I took out Paint Couture's Italian Ivory mineral paint. I'm going to be using that first over the top of the angel. And as I said before, because I already have that Queen's Court paint down, I am able to very carefully go in and add that beautiful sort of creamy white. And it does just look a lot neater than me also trying to cover the clay. I'm going to be painting the entire angel with that. I don't really want to see any of the Queen's Court blue paint on the angel itself. And then I am also going to be adding that same white to the bow up the top, and of course the Dainty Flourishes castings as well. I ended up doing 2 coats. Once I was finished with the front of the ornament, I did then turn it over, and I'm going to be applying 3 coats of the Italian Ivory. I'm doing 3 because obviously we do have that darker primer to cover as well. Once that was dry, I took out IOD's new classical Christmas stamp, and this is perfect for French country style designs. I'm going to be using this beautiful little angel or cherub, whatever you want to call it, that has the little trumpet and the music sheet, and I'm going to be using this gold ink that I got from a place called Officeworks in Australia. This is not the best quality ink, unfortunately, but we are going to be layering IOD ink over the top of it afterwards, so I'm not too worried. So I'm just going to tidy up any areas where I've got excess ink, and then I'm going to be flipping the stamp over, and I'm going to be positioning that in the center. I'm going to hover the stamp over where I want it to go, and then when I'm happy with that, I'm going to press it down. I'm not using any kind of plastic backing on this because I need to be able to bend that stamp over the curved surface. So I always have one hand holding the stamp in place while the other one moves around and applies pressure. And then once I am happy with that, I'm going to gently lift the stamp straight up. When that was dry, I took out IOD's permanent black ink. I'm going to apply it over the top of that same stamp that I've already cleaned, and then I'm going to press that over the top. So it's sort of got like a gold sort of halo in the background. When the ink was dry, I took out Paint Couture's Crackle Step 1, and I'm going to be applying that in a dabbing motion over the top of the areas that you can see that we did in the Queen's Court. I'm not going to be going over the top of the castings. I'm just going to be leaving those. So I'm going to do 1 coat of this. Dabbing the product on like this tends to give you more erratic, sort of natural looking cracks. I left that then for about 30 minutes to dry, and I also repeated the same process on the other side of the ornament. I will say that I wish I had sealed over the top of the gold and black ink, because later on when I come in with a glaze, unfortunately the gold disappears. I let that dry, and then I came in with Paint Couture's Crackle Step 2, and I'm just going to be applying it in the same motion in the same places. And then I did let that dry for about an hour. I will of course be repeating the same process on the back side of the ornament as well. After about an hour of dry time, I took out Paint Couture's Van Dyke Brown Glaze, and I'm going to begin by adding it to the angel first. This is a really great technique if you are wanting to bring out the definition in those castings, and I really love this darker tone. I'm going to take out a wet wipe then and start pulling back that glaze from the high points, so the glaze is going to sit in the low points, and as I said, it's going to give the casting more definition. I then moved on to the section where we had added the crackle, and I'm just working a section at a time. Even though we have used mineral paints and obviously that crackle medium, I don't want the glaze to sit and set too quickly. I am also going over the top of the castings, and then I'm going to use a wet wipe to pull that back. It really is so satisfying when you pull that glaze back and you see the glaze sitting down in all of those beautiful cracks that we created with the crackle, and also how it's sitting in the details of the castings. I just really love this old world vintage look. I then flipped the ornament over, and I'm going to repeat the same process, adding that glaze over the top of the ornament and then wiping it back. As I said, I really do wish that I had have sealed my ink first to maintain that lovely gold. That being said, I probably could have gone in and maybe stamped over the top of it again, but this is just one of those things where you learn through experience what works and what doesn't. So I'm going to start pulling back that glaze, and I really want to make sure that I have it sort of more focused towards the outside. We don't want to obscure that lovely stamped image too much. I love a vintage look, but if this was too grungy for you, you could definitely leave this step out. When the glaze was dry, I took out my brush that still had the Italian Ivory mineral paint on it, and I'm just going to go over the top of the angel. I'm hitting those high points. I just want to bring a little bit of lightness back just to the angel. When that was dry, I took out Paint Couture's Pale Gold Heavy Metal Metallic, and I'm going to be using that over the top of the bow that we put up the top. And I'm also going to be adding that to the Dainty Flourishes castings as well. So the heavy metal metallics are a lot more highly pigmented. It's a much sort of richer tone, but the luxe metallics would also look beautiful here as well. So I'm just going to continue to work my way around, just adding it to the bow and the Dainty Flourishes section. And I really love the combination of that creamy Italian ivory tone with the Queen's Court. I just think these all work so beautifully together, and they definitely have a very French country feel. I ended up doing 2 coats of the pale gold to get the look that I wanted. If I inspire you to try any of the Paint Couture products used in today's video, I would really appreciate it if you would use my affiliate link. I will put it in the description and on the screen. I just get a little thank you from Paint Couture in return. When that was dry, I took out Paint Couture's Crackle Step 1 again, and I'm applying it over the top of the angel section first. Now I'm using this like a glue, so this becomes sticky and tacky to the touch after about 30 minutes, so it is perfect to use if you are wanting to add glitter. I'm also going to add some of the Crackle Step 1 just around the inner edges of the ornament. I don't want it on top of the gold, I just want it to be almost like a little halo around the angel, around the outer edges. So I finished applying that, and then I let it dry for about 30 seconds. Then I took out Paint Couture's Sheer Frost German Glass Glitter. This is a beautiful sort of clear toned glitter, and then I'm going to start applying it over the top of the angel first. And that Crackle Step 1, as I said, it acts like a glue, so it's going to hold on to that glitter really well. I'm going to continue to sprinkle that over the top. I don't want to obscure the angel's face, so I did end up wiping a little bit of that back. And then I'm also going to start adding it around the edges of the ornament as well, where we have that Crackle Step 1. And I just love this. I think it is the perfect finishing touch. It gives that beautiful shine that we love to see in Christmas trees. I always use my glitter over the top of some sort of a plastic sheet so I can pour the excess back into my container, but there's always little bits left. So I like to go in and use a lint roller over the top of my silicone mat work area to pick up any of that excess. Next, I took out some cream chiffon ribbon. I'm going to cut that to size, but it's a little bit too thick for the look that I want, so I'm going to make a cut in the center to start me off, and then I'm going to be tearing that in half. And I love the rough, worn edges that this provides as well. I'm then going to thread the chiffon ribbon through the hole in the top, and then once I have an even amount of that ribbon either side, I'm going to just tie a simple knot. And here's a look at our finished ornament. I'm really pleased with how this turned out. The new Angelic Tapers mold is so beautiful. Make sure you grab them before they're gone. They are limited release. And also the classical Christmas stamp was the perfect combination with this mold. Let me know what you think of this in the comments. If you enjoyed today's video, I would really appreciate it if you would hit that like button, comment, and share it out. If you haven't already, I would love it if you would hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of our videos. You can find the products used today on our website, theprovincialfarmhouse.com.au. Thanks for watching.